right before we celebrate the birth of America. And the night before, we have a really big show. Very, very big show because a couple of LSU targets, football targets, recruits, have announced their commitment dates. We will go through a recruiting update, not just football, but baseball as well, as Jay Johnson has gone back into the portal and gotten Dalton Beck from Incarnate Word, who only hit about 350 last year with 15 bombs. We'll talk about him. Where does DJ Pickett land? Where does Chase Thomas from Destrehan potentially land? So many things in recruiting. I think tonight's going to be a very big show. I know that there's a little bit of panic in the air. Let's talk about it. I am going to give you what I think, opinion, and we'll go from there. Opinion. Want to make that very well clear of what that is. The most improved unit defensively. So tonight, and I have been really, and I mean really, pushing that we are going to be talking about the linebacker unit for quite some time now. I've done a lot of work on them. One big area that they have to improve in that would solidify that they are going to be one of the best units, I don't know, maybe on your team, potentially could be in the entire SEC. Yes, it's a hot take. Yes, I said it. But I think that there's one thing that they have to do better, and if they do, it will be really good. So we'll dive into linebacker play. Are they going to be the most improved unit? I think going into the season, they have the potential to be. We'll touch on that as well here tonight. I was going to go on a little bit of a Rufino's rant. I don't know if I'm going to necessarily have time. I might have to punt that. So we got a lot of recruiting, most improved unit, a lot of football and baseball we need to get to here. And if we're done or get through the end, we'll get to your questions. But I do have a feeling that tonight's show is going to be very jam-packed. Let's start off with a couple comments before we get rolling here. Chili says, Blake, DJ Pickett, what we doing? I don't know what we doing. I don't know what we doing. I know what I'm doing. I don't know what you're doing. Cortez Herman says, happy 4th. What a show. Thank you so much. Good show. Good, sir, for being here. Spring Hill, Louisiana, along with Stonewall, Louisiana. Mickey and Michael both in the building. Where are you watching from tonight? Where are you watching from tonight? You the 985-225-337-318. I'm still waiting for somebody in the 318 to hit me up and say, Blake, I want to take you duck hunting. Yeah. Holden Lee says, it looks like Michael Turner is turning heads. Did you watch the show last night? Guys, what did we talk about last night in Michael Turner? Holden, you gotta be in the show every night. You cannot miss. Ever. Tyler Townsend, our good friend, loyal AYS listener, says, let's go from the 318. Good to have our good buddy in here tonight. Chili says, Baton Rouge all day, 2 1/4. I don't know what that means. Holden says, I'm busy with work, brother. I'm trying. Tell your boss what you're listening to. You're not working at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. Don't be lying to me, Holden. I be seeing you on the Twitter machine. Don't be lying. You got time to tweet. You got time to listen to AYS. But he's not wrong. I think I just figured out what Chili meant. 2 1/4, the 225. Yeah, that's on me. I completely missed that. Over my head. Look how look at me. Brian is in the 985 in Homa. Good to have him in here. See, I feel bad. I feel bad. Completely over my head. Y'all can't be doing me like that. I'm gonna script that from the show. Gonna script that from the show. I'm not bringing it. I'm cutting that from the show. Nevertheless, 225 equals 2 1/4. Duh. I wasn't thinking about that. I didn't. When you read it, I mean, I don't know. What do I know? Stephen Fry, our good friends over at Fry Construction over there in Eunice. They literally have it all. Site work and land development, oil and gas services, commercial construction, aggregate and soil hauling, waste containers, demolition. They do it all. They're out there in Eunice, Louisiana. Give them a call at 337, or as Stephen says right here, to 337 457-5100. Let them know that your good buddy Blake sent you on by. Good to have our good friend Stephen here. I do see that Stephen's been getting into some Twitter battles. I tell you, man, Tennessee and Texas are going at it on Twitter, football-wise. Of course they are. Who is the real UT? I mean, who knows? Both of them can be very unbearable, to say the least. But fight the good fight. Fight the good fight. That's all I can tell you. That's all I can say. So, yeah, let me start off with this. So, look, I know the big discussion that we're going to have to talk about tonight. Here's what I'm going to say to open up. How do I want to say this? Tonight is one of those nights where you're going to have to listen to every single word. It's like, you know, that movie, like when you go to a movie, like, has anybody in here seen Oppenheimer? Have y'all seen that with Robert Downey and your boy from Peaky Blinders? You can't miss anything that's going to be said tonight about recruiting, because there are going to be a lot of things inside of there. All I'm going to say. Brandon Reese says, I wish Texas and Tennessee were playing each other this year. Me too. But you're going to have to listen, and listen very carefully. That's all I'm going to say before we get into it. Paul Frank says that the 337 Ville Platte. I'm telling you, man, the women in Ville Platte, don't trust them. Don't trust them. Ryan says, I have a really good movie. Yeah, it's going to be a good one. At least I feel it's going to be a really good one. All right, let's get to it. Everybody do us a favor by hitting the like and share all those groups. If you're on Facebook, share to all of those social media pages. You're watching us, listening to us on YouTube. Like, subscribe, notification bell, wherever you listen to podcasts. Rate, review, and subscribe. Let's talk about our good friends over at betonline.ag, our good friend Tyler Alexander, which, by the way, man, my man Tyler started a podcast. You guys need to get over there. Making Moves, MAKIN, Moves 225 on YouTube. At Making Moves 225 on YouTube. Go over there, subscribe. I think that what him and Darren James are talking about, especially for us, anybody really in the working environment, it's a really, really good podcast to listen to. I don't listen to many. I listen to that one. Go over to Making Moves 225. That's MAKIN Moves 225 on YouTube. Subscribe. Go in the comments. Flood the comments. Say Blake Ruffino brought you here. I need all of you at the end of the show, or if you could do it, whenever, go to Making Moves 225. Subscribe. Go in their comments. Say, hey, Blake Ruffino told me to be here. It's 2 F's. I see you all misspell my name all the time. You know of the great restaurant in Baton Rouge. It's RUFFINO. Double F. Just saying. All right. Don Lewis says LSU baseball making some moves. That they are, Don. That they are. And Jay Johnson, we trust. Like I told you last night, Don. Well, not Don specifically, but just everybody in general. everybody's fiending. When's Jay going to get his next dude? When's Jay going to get his next dude? And literally last night I said, look, by the end of the week, you're gonna hear something. It's how Jay rolls. And I don't think he's even close to remotely being done. Not even close to being done. So we'll see, man. We'll see. Kevin Dunn says, lips C. Petty. Either which way. Oh, and we got to talk about our good friends over at J&J Exterminating. Let's get rolling. Let's take a quick break. We got it recruiting out at the top. We got some baseball stuff we need to talk about, and maybe the most improved unit on LSU's team. We'll talk about that too. After the break, stay with us. BetOnline is the fastest and easiest way for you to wager on all of your favorite sports, contests, events with the first-to-market odds and lines. Find reviews for all the news for each league, including Major League Baseball, NFL, NBA, NHL, combat sports, college sports, esports, and even golf. BetOnline continues to be the top online resource for all of your sports information for live in-game betting, props, and futures. Head on over to BetOnline today and use your mobile device to join and make your first sports bet. Use our promo code BELIEVE50, that's BELIEVE50, BLEAV 50, to receive your 50% off welcome bonus on your first deposit. That's betonline.ag, betonline.ag.
He will sell your house and find you a new. Well, Tyler's the man, he's here for you. If you want to buy or sell, well, it's not too late. Dial 955-0008. Just call 955-0008. Y'all call Tyler, he'll shoot you straight.
Louisiana is unique. The food, the festivals, even the bugs. No, not mud bugs. Unwanted bugs like these. The ones you don't want crawling in your home or business. Trust the Shield from J&J Exterminating. We've been protecting Louisiana homes for over 50 years, earning the trust of our clients because we deliver what we promise. Protect your home from pests. Get the Shield from J&J Exterminating.
J&J Exterminating. Yeah. We're back.
All right. Let's get this thing started, y'all. So, I am very glad that Chili, even though I completely botched his opening comment of the night about the 225, but he says, hashtag Ask Blake, can you get Jerry Hamilton on the show? Which, sure, Chili, I can try. I don't know Jerry that well, to be honest with you. However, you hit my Rufino's rants. It's going to be a pretty big recruiting show. Let me get to it very, very quickly because I'm old enough to remember when a lot of people, Texas fans and media, talked about when Bo Davis left that their interior defensive line recruiting had taken a back seat. It wasn't doing any good. I think it's ironic right now that Texas and Texas media are pretty much all that they have been talking about, at least that I have been seeing on social media over the last 2-3 weeks, has been how bad they've been recruiting in the interior of the defensive line. They tried to warn LSU fans that Bo Davis would not be able to recruit, and now it would seem as if, with maybe some commitments coming down the pipeline for LSU, that all of a sudden Texas is having issues at the interior of the defensive line. How ironic. Isn't it? Like, how ironic is that? Now, the funny thing about that is that, look, man, there are coaches, okay, in college football, when they do something, you have to pay attention. Like, for example, when Nick Saban offers a safety, you need to pay attention because the likelihood that young man is going to be really good. Caleb Downs, Minkah Fitzpatrick, Brian Branch, the long list of dudes in his career that he's had at safety, LaRon Landry. I mean, just think of the evaluation and talent that he's had at that position. I do think the same could be said for Bo Davis. Texas's biggest strength a season ago was the interior of their defensive line. Not all guys were highly recruited. Not all guys were top 5 in their class or massive 5-stars. But guys that Bo thought that he could recruit, develop, make into elite talents. That is what Bo has done. Bo has been a great recruiter and great developer. Now, a lot of people have said, specifically Texas fans, that he has gotten lazy. Looks like you might be the one that's having the problem, not Bo Davis. Now, all I'm going to say here is that Texas now joined officially into the SEC. Their coaches going to other SEC programs now is going to be actually a little bit more of an uptick. Blake, that's not going to happen. We're the University of Texas. Well, ironically, you got outbid by LSU. You got outbid. You didn't want to go more. LSU did. They got Bo Davis. And there would seem not completely done yet, and not going to be completely done until December, until some of these guys start signing on the dotted line, and you have a whole season that you have to go through. But ask Don McKinley. The reason that it really sold him on LSU was because the staff told him, well, Bo Davis is coming. So then the 5-star defensive tackle, commits to LSU. How does that working out? Now, I don't think that you should, or I should, not you, but I don't think that I should completely poo-poo on the University of Texas because, look, man, they're recruiting at a very high level. They've been recruiting at a very high level. They will continue to recruit at a very high level. But I just find it highly ironic that when he left, you had rivals, or the Texas Rivals site, you had the Texas On 3 site talking about how bad Bo Davis was. Now, all of a sudden, you're the ones posting on social media saying, hey, we have a problem in the interior of the defensive line when it comes to high school football recruiting. That's not me saying that. I see you on Twitter doing it. So if you're saying I'm lying, then why is your media going out there and saying that you have a problem? What does that mean for LSU, though? What it means for LSU is like, look, man, they thought that they were in a bad situation when they really weren't. They knew that Bo was leaving, so they just do what people from Texas do, which, guys, I got to be real. Most people from Texas, a lot of people from Texas, are extremely cocky individuals. They are. It's how, every dude that, I had a roommate that lived, Cole Wardell, love him to death. One of the best human beings you will ever meet in your life. My man, Cole, was pretty confident in himself. I never met anybody from the state of Texas, born and raised there, that doesn't have that edge of confidence in them. So they dismiss a guy like Bo Davis. Good for you. How's that working out for you so far? Why are you freaking out right now? Why is your media freaking out right now? You know, I see David Woodard in the chat saying it's happening on every feed I get on. Maybe he's not talking about that. I don't know. But it's exactly what's happening. It is on every feed. Saw it again today. We're not doing good enough at the interior of the defensive line. No, you're not. You're not. Now, what we talked about last night with guys like Brandon Brown and Zion Williams, got to land them, got to hold on to them, got to develop them. Because you did not have, if it wouldn't have been for Frank, if it wouldn't have been for BK there at the end with Don McKinley, you might not have got him. If Jimbo didn't get a $75 million check guaranteed, you might not have gotten him or Gabe Rutherford. Now it feels, and hopefully you can sustain and have stability at that position group. Guys, you need it in the biggest of ways. In the biggest of ways. Because quite honestly, maybe since 2019, I don't think the interior of your defensive line has been great. Just being real with you. We talked about it last night. I could go back through it again. But your 7 losses came on the heels of your front 7. I think it's ironic that when we talked about it last night in reference to, hey, man, in the 7 losses in the BK era, the opposing team that beats you averages 237 yards on the ground. But I'm old enough to remember when we would come in here and blame Jaden Daniels. Like, I'm old enough to remember that. Now, I am not excusing, okay, at all some of the things that the offensive side of the football did. But, it's crazy because I went back and watched some clips of our postgame show against Ole Miss from last season. And there were so many comments saying, well, man, if Caleb Jackson would have just caught that ball, if Chris Hilton would have caught that ball at the end, guys, you scored 49 points. And you lost. That's not good defense at all. I do think that there's going to be an improved unit. They're going to have to be improved for you to be better against the run. They are your bloodline. They are your lifeline to change that. Let's see what Bo does in the next week, next couple of weeks, next month, and until December. I don't think that he's only going to get 2 interior defensive linemen. Don't have any really right now. You need to go get some. Let's see if he can get and lock that in. All right. Let's get to it. I see a lot of y'all's comments in here. Joe and Tammy says, man, if we could have got a few stops. Yeah, if we could have gotten a few stops, things would have been a lot different. He also says you got to get top DL, man, 26 class for the future. And that's a big thing. You got a lot of interior defensive linemen in the 26 class in this state. Man, but there's no better time to have Bo Davis on your campus than right now. No better time at all. Okay. So, look, we're going to stick with recruiting, and I got to get to this. Let me first off by saying, and because I think the DJ Picket segment is going to take some time, Chase Thomas out of Destrehan announced today that he's going to be committing on July the 13th. Chase is an athlete on paper, but a safety DB from Destrehan. Guys, I think the kid can play. 6'1", 180 pounds. It's just something about kids from Destrehan, man. Went to LSU this summer, went to a couple camps, really balled out, had some good film where he got himself an offer. I think he's one of those kids that Louisiana always produces that going into their senior year just kind of, I don't want to say comes out of nowhere. The kid didn't just come out of nowhere, but the 3-star athlete, or what I think by the end of his senior year is going to be a moderately highly rated 4-star, in my opinion. Chase Thomas is going to be committing on the 13th. I put some stuff on the message board about it, ayssnetwork.com. I like the kid a lot. We'll see where he goes as his commitment date starts getting closer. Maybe I'll put a pick in. We'll go that route. But Chase Thomas, I like a lot. But I know that the big thing that you want to talk about here tonight is DJ Picket, the top 5 DB in this class, corner, safety, whatever he is. But DJ Picket out of the Tampa area, I'm just going to use the Tampa area, announced today through On3 that he is going to be committing on Wednesday, July the 17th. Pickett is 6'4", 179 pounds, and is rated the highest DB in the 2025 class. All right. I put a write-up that I think in more detail about how I feel. Go over there and read it if you'd like. Here's what I tell you. LSU, not specifically LSU, but Corey Raymond has gone after DJ Pickett very aggressively. I think that, as the saying goes, I don't think that this is a great way of saying it or a perfect way of saying it, but DJ has been a guy that they've put a lot of attention on. Last week we talked about Jabari Antoine decommitting, and his comments being to On3 were that Miami was the team that spent the most focus on recruiting him. And I know that it had a lot of people aggravated that an in-state, the number one DB in the state for the fourth straight year has started trending somewhere else. I want Jabari Antoine in this class. DJ Pickett, however, is the number one player in 2025 as a DB. I don't know if he's a corner. 6'4" corners don't normally happen. Normally, those guys move to safety, but a guy that can really run, really physical, got really good hands, high points of football really well. There's a reason that the 5-star DB is the number one DB in this class. I know that you put a lot of focus on him, but I am just going to say this. I don't know what's going to happen. My opinion is that a kid from Florida that flies halfway across the country 5 times to go to Oregon does not make me feel good about the recruitment. Miami also being a team that has been more of the hometown team, if you will, in this recruitment. It would seem through people that I've talked to today that they have or are planning to go all in to get DJ Pickett. Now, I will remind you of an old tale that you and I talk about all the time. There's the LSU side of sourcing, and then there are other team sides of sourcing, and then there's the national side of sourcing, and then there's the truth. I don't know how confident I am that you land DJ Pickett. Now, 2 weeks is a long time, a very long time. 2 weeks from today, he will be committing, and we're going to have an answer. I have no idea what's going to happen. No clue. If you ask me today, I feel like the Oregon Ducks would be the team that he goes to, but he didn't commit today, and he's not signing today either. Or he won't be signing on the 17th either. So what I would say is you're in a battle. And Corey, for what it's worth, has got to go all in. You've went all in on this kid. You can't miss. I don't know if he is or if he isn't. Here is the truth, the way that I see it. I hope that he lands him. Let me be 100% fully transparent about this. I want the kid to be an LSU Tiger. No questions about it. I just don't know how high my level of confidence is at the current moment. Now, there has been chatter that NIL could play a factor in here. Of course it does. He's a top 5 player in the country. He is a unicorn at his position. Of course, NIL is going to be an issue. You just cannot go in another recruiting battle against Miami and Miami being involved and you lose out on it. Sorry, you cannot. Here's the biggest thing for me. Okay? You've lost Jabari Antoine, and Corey has gone all in on DJ Pickett. Where are the other corners? Now, I know Frank Wilson is recruiting Aiden Anding out of Ruston. I mean, it's what the kid says. That Frank is the one recruiting him. I mean, he's the one saying this publicly, not me. Two weeks is a long time. I just don't know how good I feel about it. And my opinion may change. My thoughts may change. Facts around the matter may change. The kid might not even commit in 2 weeks. Seems as if he wants it to be done. But, guys, normally when a kid comes off a visit, which Pickett went to Oregon, and coming off a visit and wants to set a date and commit, number one, I would assume that he just wants this to be over with before a season starts. And normally it's not a good sign for the other teams that are involved. Now, when it comes to NIL, I have warned you and warned you and warned you and warned you over and over and over again. When agents start getting involved, shit starts hitting the fan. You literally, or agents, handlers, whatever you want to call them, which I think is a situation that we're dealing with here, shit can get out of hand very quickly. And as the song says, sometimes you got to know when to hold them, and sometimes you got to know when to fold them. I don't know if this is a time that you fold them. At some point, LSU's got to go out there and make a statement. Now, if the kid goes somewhere else, if he goes to Oregon and Miami, it's not the end of the world. It legitimately isn't. Now, would it be a bad look on LSU, specifically Corey? Yeah, it would. Was Patrick Peterson in Baton Rouge when the kid was on a visit? Yeah. But guys, that doesn't matter anymore. It hasn't mattered for a long time. Well, I say a long time. It hasn't mattered since 2020. It hasn't mattered since NIL has become the main reason where high-profile kids go. You could get Tom Brady, Peyton Manning, Jesus Christ Almighty to talk to some of these kids, and it's not going to matter when another program may dangle more money in front of their face. If all three schools were lined up, Miami, Oregon, and LSU, well, Oregon had a pretty damn good year last year, didn't they? Now going into the Big Ten. I know a lot of people, myself included at times, has poo-pooed on Miami. Guys, Miami, if you're not watching, a lot of people in the preseason, and it may be wrong, believe that Miami not only could win the ACC, but could be a deep playoff contender. Cam Ward is there now as their quarterback. They're bringing back a lot of offensive line that were freshmen last year. Sound any familiar to LSU fans? A transfer quarterback that's mobile. Comes in with two highly rated 5-star offensive tackles. Does that sound familiar to anybody? As far as Pickett goes, we're going to have to wait and see, man. I know you don't want to hear that. I know that you don't want to hear that. You want to know now that when the commitment date is out of where this kid's going. And I'm here to tell you at this exact moment, I do not know. But as I said in the open, I pray to God that a highly rated top 5 player in the country comes to Baton Rouge. Because guys like him don't fall off on trees every day. But the bottom line remains, if you miss him, it's going to look very bad. Then let's look at both our alternatives. The alternative, if you get him, you get one of the top 5 players in the country. You have another 5-star that's in the mix. So you'll have Bryce Underwood committed, Harlan Berry committed, and then DJ Pickett. Your class is starting to look not only good, guys, it's starting to look elite. Does other DBs want to start getting into the mix now that you have a guy like Pickett that's into the fold? When you got a guy like Harlan Berry and Bryce Underwood, what is going on in Baton Rouge will be the national outcry of, hey, man, LSU's got to be doing something right. If you miss him, there's going to be a black eye on Brian Kelly. There's going to be a black eye on Corey Raymond. And there's going to be a black eye on anybody that thought that you could and were so gung-ho on getting him. Again, the third time I'm saying it, I don't know what's going to happen at the current moment, and I hope that you get him. But I do not feel good in the situation. So then you've lost your Bari Antoine, the number 1 DB in your state, and now you're having to pivot. And that's not a good place to be. You fired your staff not only because of how bad last season was defensively, but because they weren't recruiting at a good enough level. Even though I do think Kerry Cooks didn't recruit at a bad level. Jawan Johnson getting into the fold. Oh, Deshaun McBride getting into the fold. And now there comes some breaking news. We'll get to in just a second. He's not the only 5-star that you are in on that is going to be committing soon. A guy that committed on our show, DeCorian Moore, who also decommitted from LSU, is telling On3 and Hayes Fawcett that he is going to be committing tomorrow to either Ohio State, LSU, Oregon, or Texas. I do not feel good at where the Tigers sit on that one right now either. So, there goes that. There goes that. We'll see. He'll be committing at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time tomorrow. Good for him. Good for him. Good luck to the kid. All right. Let's field some of your questions here. Joe and Tammy says the Ducks are the biggest threat. The Ducks are the biggest threat. The Ducks are the biggest threat. Go Tigers 195. Miami's coach doesn't even know how to kneel on the clock. LMFAO. That's true. You know what they also know how to do, though? Recruit. I can't. I'm not going to come out here. Please listen to our the Ruffino and Joe show. I have ridiculed Mario Cristobal. Doesn't matter, man. Guys, it doesn't matter. That shit doesn't matter right now. It doesn't matter. None of it matters. None of it matters. Stephen Young says a Florida kid might love Oregon in summer, but what happens when he's playing in the cold in November? What happens when that check deposits in November? I mean, we can say what we want. I mean, what happens when that check doesn't bounce? Then what? Chili says NIL and relationships are the key now. I don't even know if relationships are key anymore. I don't even know if relationships matter at the current moment anymore. Because, look, man, there comes a point, and let me say this too. There comes a point, if you're going to blame everything on NIL, then you got to change something about it. If other teams are offering kids more money and are having better records than you, like Oregon was a better football team than you were a year ago. What did they do that you can't? Phil Knight's only going to give so much money to that program. He's only going to give so much money. But you know what Oregon has done, and Dan Lanning got them to do it? Guess what? Like, guess what? It's the thing that we've been talking about for the last 3 months. Their fan base has gotten involved. The link to their collective goes out. They don't give a shit. They want to win. Because the guy, let me just say this. The dude that hasn't been on the mountaintop always is going to have, pun intended to this show, the eye of the tiger to get on the top of the mountain, to climb Mount Everest, to be the king, to be the guy in Rocky IV that stands on top of the mountain and screams, Drago! If you don't have that eye of the tiger, Rocky IV or Rocky III, pun intended, then you are going to be left behind. As Apollo Creed told Rocky when he was training like shit, there is no tomorrow for you. You know, LSU comes out with a great video about NIL. Where's the link? They sent the wrong link. Because they sent the wrong link out. Oh, boy. Couple of super chats here. Anthony B. Saint says, Blake, isn't it ironic? ? Texas thinks Bo was the problem. He has a legitimate chance to land 3 guys in the upcoming day. Yeah. He has the chance. He more than likely has a chance. $2 super chat says, Bayou traditions, no said from Ryan. I agree. Big Mamu, Kevin Fino says, money is key, period. Relationships aren't what they used to be, sadly. 1,000%. 1,000%. I mean, I do think in Corey Raymond's defense, if it were a relationship thing, this could be in a completely different ballpark, but it's not. You know, like the Patrick Peterson thing is very cool. Means nothing when you're deciding on the team. The kid's not going to think, oh, well, Patrick Peterson was on my visit, so I should commit there. Oh, wait, Oregon's going to pay me X amount over a 3-year span. Miami's going to pay me X amount over a 3-year span. None of that means anything. Literally means nothing. And if you think it does, then you're an idiot. You are a bona fide idiot if you think that matters. Is it cool? It's very cool. I hope that if my son one day becomes a very, very good recruit or football player, that a player like Patrick Peterson is there to want to recruit him to LSU. I pray to God that happens. Every dad that has a son hopes that happens for their child. But the bottom line is, when it would come down to the brass tacks of everything, and one school's offering X, another school's offering Y, and the other school is offering Z, well, X might be what tilts him to go somewhere. I mean, look, you can be mad, sad, glad, whatever you want. Reality at some point has got to set in. Has got to set in here. Oh, man, I worked out shoulders today, and I am in serious pain. Chili says, F it, AYS NIL donation. Here you go, Blake, a $199 super chat. I will send it to Bayou Traditions. I don't know if they take $1.99, but I will try to send them $1.99. Rick says, like and remember the Titans as far as DL is concerned. We want some mo. D-Payne says it was the same with Jamar Chase meeting with Decorey Moore. Means nothing when that money is involved. No, it does not. And look, let me just say this. The kid's going to commit tomorrow. Good on him. I have a pretty damn strong idea of where he's going. You know, we went and did his commitment when he committed to LSU. He committed on this show. He decommitted. Good for him. And Godspeed. I hope the kid nothing but great success. And I mean that. I'm not just saying it. I really mean I hope the kid has a lot of success. It is what it is, man. It is what it is. All right. Let me talk about this very quickly, some baseball recruiting stuff. Then we got to get to best or most improved position, in my opinion, before we get out of here. Dalton Beck from Incarnate Word, the outfielder, left-handed pitcher, has committed to LSU. Last year in the Southland Conference, hit 348 with 15 home runs and 49 RBIs. So there has been a little bit of a stress level when it comes to Jay Johnson and when it comes to the portal for whatever reason. I don't know what really the reasonings behind that has been. I don't think Jay is done. I don't think he's remotely done. Now, last night we talked about a guy like Daniel Dickinson from Utah Valley who could be in the fold here. We'll continue to monitor what Daniel Dickinson does. Okay. But I think Jay is doing one thing. I think that this is his plan. He wants dudes that can flat out hit. He'll figure everything else out, positions out, everything else out comes after that. I like this pickup from Dalton Beck from Incarnate Word. Guys, the Southland Conference, for what it's worth, is not a really bad mid-major league. They've had their moments of being up and down. I thought that they were pretty decent a year ago. Not bad, pretty decent last year. 348. Look, man, Lamar being in that conference last year, Lamar was a really good team. They went on the road against Oklahoma and swept Oklahoma on the road. So the Southland Conference and the teams that normally they'll produce one good, really good team a year, this kid hitting 348 in that conference is not bad at all. Left-handed bat, I would assume. I don't know if he's going to pitch at all. I don't know if he's going to play in the outfield. I have no idea what he's going to do. Does he have the frame to play first base? So many different things you could do with a kid like that. You can't teach power. You can't teach round ball, round bat, square it up, hit that bitch 472 feet. You can't. So I like what Jay's doing here. Do I still think he needs, with Caden Kent, who decided today to go back to Texas A&M now that Early is the head coach there? Yes. And good on Texas A&M, man. I mean, I am glad that the Schlossnagle deal did not derail a program completely, even though I'm not a big A&M fan. But they got to get a third baseman. They need to get a guy at shortstop. Does Wyatt Hensler and Daniel Dickinson, do they fall in the fold somewhere like that? We will find out. But today, Dalton Beck being a really, really good pickup for Jay Johnson and the Tigers. Let's see what happens here. Let's hope he makes it to campus. Let's hope that he is a big-time bat in your lineup. But Jay is bringing in guys that have had some really big numbers in college baseball, a lot of experience in college baseball. So we shall see. Would he be a draft risk? I mean, look, he was a junior this past year. I mean, you never know. So, yeah, I mean, definitely could be a draft risk. Chili says, I keep 247 Sports for the Paramount Plus, if I'm being honest. I didn't even know they did that. I don't know. Stephen Young says, won't Kim be behind Grahovac? I don't know. It'd probably be at second or outfield. I mean, the way that the kid played last year, I don't know. I don't know. We shall see. We shall see. I don't know. Let me pull this up. Somebody's debating me stats. Let me just make sure that Google, they're saying that my stats are off. I hate when people do this, like that we don't look this up. All right, hold on one second. Somebody on the text line is saying that our stats are wrong. Well, let's look at it. All right, here's Dalton Beck from Incarnate Word. Let's look at stats. No. No. That was right. 348, 15 home runs, 49 RBIs. I thought I was right. Why do all you Rudy Poos tell me that I'm wrong? Who knows? I don't know why people did that. Kick and play, man. Kick and play. All right. Let's get to a quick break. Fisher from Ole Miss, I would absolutely love. Most improved unit for defense. We'll talk about that next. Stay with us. Guys, I want to talk to you about our good friends over the Drake Williams Law Firm and Drake Title Company. Are you facing tough times due to an injury from a car accident, navigating the complexities of divorce, or purchasing a new home? At the Drake Williams Law Firm and Drake Title Company, they understand the challenges you're going through, and they are here to help. The lawyer team of Ernie Drake III, Ryan J. Williams, and Summer Vignair, along with Morgan Daniels, have the experience and proven track record to give you that peace of mind. Give them a call today at 985-386-7600. That's 985-386-7600 to schedule a free consultation at their brand new office located in historic downtown Ponchatoula. They're also doing a special, the AYS special. If you're refinancing or closing on a home in Southeast Louisiana, request the Drake Title Company to handle your closing. If you mention Blake Ruffino and AYS, you're going to receive a $400 discount on title fees. Again, give them a call at 985-386-7600. Let them know that Blake Ruffino sent you on by. Guys, you might know my good friend Carol Falls and all the great service that he provides over at State Farm. He is your good neighbor after all. But did you know State Farm has surprisingly great rates as well? Along with a great neighbor service, State Farm agent Carol Falls has surprisingly great rates for everyone inside the state of Louisiana. So call him today at 985-395-4300, 985-395-4300 for all of those surprisingly great rates on auto, home, and life insurance needs. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there, and individual premiums will vary by customer. All applicants subject to the State Farm underwriting requirements.
Ruffino and Joe Show is brought to you by Home Field Apparel, which is the best, without a doubt, premium collegiate apparel brand that is out there. They have over 150 different colleges that you can choose from, whether you're an Illinois fan or a Rutgers fan, maybe you're an LSU fan like Blake, or maybe you're an Alabama fan. Whatever it is, even Idaho, they have so many different designs for so many different football programs that I can guarantee you're going to find some great stuff to help root for your favorite team. I've already gotten my Notre Dame stuff. Blake has his LSU stuff. Make sure you head on over to homefieldapparel.com to check out your team's collection of clothing apparel that they have on the website. And when you do so, when you check out, make sure you use promo code RuffinoJoe to get 15% off your order. That is RUFFINO, Ruffino Joe. Head on over to homefieldapparel.com and get your college gear today.
All right, let's get to it. So, look, we have gone through every single position group at LSU over the last 4 weeks. So, over the last month, we have gone to every single position group that LSU has defensively. Tonight, we end with linebacker. Listen, I think that there is one unit that can be the most improved. I do think it could be linebacker and linebacker play. Why do I believe that? Why do I say that? You know, when you watch LSU a season ago, there were a lot of times that they were in the right position, just missed the tackle. And what's interesting is I would much rather you miss the tackle and know your assignment than not know your assignment and be a great tackler. I know that sounds hyperbolic. I know that sounds crazy. But nevertheless, Greg Penn had 89 tackles a season ago, 6.5 tackles for loss, 4 sacks, and 2 interceptions. Look, I think that Greg Penn, as an example, under Blake Baker, could take that next step. I think he could take the next step in the sense of that, look, there were a lot of times, like against Ole Miss, even in your spring game, that Greg was in the right position a lot of times. Tackling was an issue. Now, can he fix that? Can he be that guy that I think could be one of the more improved players on this team? Look, Greg Penn, for what it's worth, the last 2 seasons has started pretty much every single game for you at middle backer. Guys, that's a lot of experience returning for one guy that's seen a lot of football. There is one thing he's got to do better, though, and that is tackling guys that have the football in their hand. I don't think Greg Penn was that bad in coverage a year ago. Look, the ironic thing, he was the best player on your team last year when it comes to pass coverage, as crazy as that sounds, but he does need to get better there. Look, I think Blake Baker has shown well more than enough at Miami, LSU, and at Missouri that the unit that he has. Now, at Missouri, he had safety, which I thought was their best unit outside of defensive or edge with Kevin Peoples. That every unit that he's had the last 4 years has been the best unit on their defense. You remember here in 2021, Damone Clark and Micah Baskerville taking those next steps, being really good players for you. Honestly, and Mike Jones, for what it's worth, being 2 really good players that stood out for you. I like Greg Penn a lot. And I know that a lot of people are going to say, Blake, he had a bad season. I don't know if he had a bad season. I'd say he had an okay season last year. But, man, did he have a lot of right assignments. He's got to finish the play. But I think that the biggest thing that we're going to have to find out is from Harold Perkins. Now, I will tell you, last year LSU got away from Harold Perkins being in the interior after one game. I think it failed for them miserably. I don't think it's fair for Harold Perkins to say, well, hey, he was so bad in the middle, and then you continue to throw out Omar Spates the way that you did last season. All I'm going to say is this. I have that much faith in Blake Baker that he can get a guy like Whit Weeks. He can get a guy like Greg Penn. He can get a guy like Harold Perkins to step up. And this is why I think you're going to see them be the most improved unit on the football field. You know, we talked last week about LSU having something really good that they did a year ago, that being team sacks. Well, the second best thing that you did defensively last year was tackles for loss. Blake Baker's unit a year ago was 20th in the country in TFLs last season. That is because he let his linebackers flow and get to the football in reckless abandon. Go stop the ball carrier behind the line of scrimmage, and let's get the offense behind the chains. I don't think you saw that a lot in spring. I actually don't think you saw it at all. And I think that you have three guys at that position that started and played a lot last year in Weeks, Penn, and Perkins that I think that have not only the ability, not only have the athleticism, but have the want to be better and get better. I am not giving up on Harold Perkins in the middle at all. Or I say in the middle, in the inside. I think it's unfair for him, like I mentioned earlier, that you just went away from him in doing that. But the reason that I think that they're going to be the most improved is because of the tackles for loss scenario. So last year, Missouri being 20th in the country in TFLs, their safeties and linebackers, I think 6 of them, linebackers and safeties combined, had at least 5 tackles for loss or more. That is why Missouri was really good. Getting them up to the line of scrimmage, penetration galore, pause. Okay, I know that some of you last night talked about Blake, stop talking about penetration. But I think in this system, in a true Blake Baker system, what we may see, is Harold Perkins being able to use his athleticism to be free and flowing. Now, when you do that, you need a defensive line that could also be really good at the point of attack. We'll have to see that unfold. But I am relying on that you have 3 guys now that have a lot of experience, but 2 of them in Perkins and Penn, that guys, there's not a lot that they haven't seen on the football field anymore. Hardly at all. And I think that the way that Blake utilized his defenses the last 2 seasons was utilizing that unit, getting after the quarterback too. I don't know necessarily if it's that they take a next step athletically. Like, I don't know how Harold Perkins takes another step athletically, but I think that he's used schematically that it makes him look a lot better. I'm very high on this unit, man. Very, very high on this unit. I think the way that you're going to orchestrate and utilize them is going to be something that's going to be a delight to see. I thought last year it was very difficult for Greg Penn, who I thought played in a better level because he had to sit and tackle. What do I mean by that? Greg Penn, under a Matt House regime, was not able to go and run and fill a run gap to try to get a tackle at or behind the line of scrimmage. He had to play sideline to sideline. That was their goal. It's a very outdated type of defense. Now I think that you utilize a guy like Greg Penn and Harold Perkins that, look, man, if there is a gap and a hole and you can fill it and make the tackle at or behind the line of scrimmage, go after it. Get them behind the line of scrimmage. It's what Blake has done the last 2 seasons. Guys, I think if you're able and that unit is able to do that, you're going to be light years better than where you were. I have high hopes for them. Can they turn the page? Can they take that next step? You need Greg Penn, who more than likely, and why I think could be the most improved, what does the green dot on the back of the helmet and the microphone in Greg Penn's ear do for him with Blake Baker now? See, something that we have not talked about, and I think that we just don't know what we don't know about microphones being in helmets of the quarterback and the middle backer. I think it helps a guy like him to get guys lined up, being that natural leader and knowing his assignments better. That's not the only reason that I look at this unit and say not only the frontline guys being good, but the depth pieces. I've been waiting to talk about this, and we talked about this with Carter on Monday night, but I've been really excited to talk about this young man that's next. Guys, I can't stop hearing things about Debo Atkins. I have heard more good things about Xavier Atkins than maybe any other freshman in this offseason. The way that he's approached weightlifting, the way that he's approached conditioning, the way that he has approached the film, I say the film room, but understanding of the defense. Tylen Singleton, a lot of the same. But Xavier Atkins, if you talk to anybody at Ops, is the person that continues to come up. Hey, man, this kid is not here to play around. He is here for business and business only. He's got something to play for, man. And I know Carter mentioned that. I am very intrigued by that unit, and I'm very intrigued to see what Blake Baker does and utilizes. You know, what's interesting and we talked about this, the parallel and leading all the way up to this, I thought when Ed got fired midway through the season, the unit that took the biggest step forward in 2021 was linebacker because they were free-flowing. They were going after the passer. Did you know in 2021, after Ed Orgeron got fired at the Florida game, did you know that LSU was second in the country, not the SEC, the country, in tackles for loss? Second. So that year that you played Alabama so close, the reason was because your linebackers were playing so damn good. I'm putting all my eggs in the Blake Baker basket. And I don't know if I'm going to be wrong or right here, but what I do know is that the guy has been known to coach up units to be one of the best units on a defense. I think it's going to be this one. I think you're going to see a light year change. Now, what happens if they don't? If it looks like and they don't take the next step, my question becomes, well, two things. Number one, is it just the personnel is not good enough? Or number two, is the defensive line just that bad? And, you know, man, you have very athletic human beings on your team. And when you have very athletic human beings on your team, sometimes you need to go out there and just out-athlete people. You know, against Tennessee, against LSU, against Ohio State, against Georgia, there were a lot of times that Blake Baker ran a 3-3-5 stack. A lot of times. Go pop in the film. He's got 3 down linemen, 3 linebackers on the field, and what Blake did was try to out-athlete you at that position group. It's 100% what he tried to do to LSU, and he couldn't do it with Malik Neighbors, Brian Thomas, and Jane Daniels. He tried. He couldn't. He didn't have the personnel to do it. But he sure as hell did it to Ohio State. He sure as hell did it to Tennessee, and he sure almost, and especially in that first half, somewhat did it to Georgia until their quarterback just, completely fumbled the bag. But they were in that game, holding Georgia to what they did. Who, guys, I got to be real with you. I still think Georgia was the best team in the country a year ago. I know Michigan won it all. I think if you put Michigan and Georgia on a neutral site, they waxed the dog shit out of them. Pun intended. I'm really high on this unit, man. Let's see what they do. All right. I hate when people. I told y'all this earlier. I hate, I hate when people. I just don't. I hate when people say that we have the wrong stats. I loathe it. People in the comments, you have the wrong stats. The fuck we do. The fuck we do. All right. Don't forget Mizzou beat Ohio State last year. Yeah, we just talked about that. He also says personnel was decent based on the defensive players drafted. It's hard to disagree with that, man. All right. We're out of here. Y'all have a very good and happy 4th of July. Don't blow your hands off like you're Jason Pierre-Paul. Be safe out there. God bless America. The nation's birthday. God bless. We will see y'all probably Friday because we'll probably have to do a morning show to talk about the recruits. We'll see. Till then, we'll see y'all soon. You have a good one. Peace.